and say hello to your fellow love streamers. Good morning and happy Sunday. Welcome to our Sunday service, streaming to you live here in Austin, Texas, Unity Church of the Hills. We're grateful for the opportunity to connect our hearts with yours. Take a moment and say hello to your fellow love streamers. Let us know where you are watching from. I wanted to take a moment and just thank everyone who participated in Unity's World Day of Prayer. From our prayer chaplains and licensed Unity teachers to our laity, and to Dr. Paul Hubbard, who brought his crystal bowl sound healing energy. The 24 hours that we spent steeped in affirmative prayer was rich and powerful. And I truly believe that we have set an intention that is going to continue to move us through this year as we answer the call together to where we are being pulled by Spirit. If you missed the World Day of Prayer service or the 24 hours of prayer, they are available on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. So our Sharing is Caring campaign continues to do good work in the world. The last 2 weeks, we focused our efforts towards AmeriCares and the support that they're providing for Hurricane Laura. And starting next Sunday, we're going to focus our hearts and our energies and our financial good towards those affected by the fires that are raging in the West Coast. For today, though, we're focusing on an organization called Foster Village, and I want to tell you guys a little bit about them. They were founded in 2016, and they are led by experienced foster parents, child development experts, child welfare advocates, and a board that is made up of passionate and diverse community of professionals. They support foster children and families in the child welfare system by providing emotional and physical support. So if that tugs at your heart, all you have to do is share the message today while we are live, and we'll donate $5 towards Foster Village. Again, it is our joy to connect our hearts with yours. You're invited to settle in as we begin our Sunday service.
One love, one heart, let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying, hear the children crying, saying, let's sing praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let them all pass, all the dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for those who make mistakes, who hurt all mankind, just to save his own? Believe me, one love. What about the one heart? What about the love? As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. Oh, give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. One more thing. Let's get together to stop this holy Armageddon. It's all in your mind. There will be a no doom. Have pity on those whose chances are growing thinner. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation. Say it. One love, heart. What about the love? Get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. One more. Let's get to pass all the dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for those who make mistakes, who have hurt all mankind just to save their own? Believe me, one love. What about the one heart? What about the love? Get together and feel alright, as it was in the beginning. So shall it be in the end. Oh Lord, give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. I'm pleading to mankind. Oh Lord, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright.
Thank you, Celebration, for the opening song. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. We are so grateful for all of you watching today. We take a moment and give thanks for all of our prayer chaplains holding space today. To receive one-on-one prayer following today's service, please call 512-814-5365. You can leave a message with your name, phone number, and a request, and a chaplain will call you back. Our children, youth, angels, and teachers continue to meet virtually in all formats like Facebook groups and Zoom. We take a moment to focus our hearts on all of them and behold the Christ in them. You can learn more about our youth ministry at unityhills.org. Our vision statement will appear on your screen in a moment. I would invite you to speak it aloud, affirming the truth of who you are called to be in the world. Together, we are an ever-expanding community of love and acceptance where lives are transformed. If you are joining us for the first time today, welcome. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living that honors all paths to God. Wherever you are in your spiritual path, we'll gladly meet you there. If you want to know more about us, just type the word connect in the comments and an ambassador will reach out to you. And now we take a moment to turn within and get centered through our opening prayer. O sweet and loving Spirit, we take this moment to breathe into this shared sacred space. We are so grateful for this time to come together, to pause, remember, and breathe. We breathe into our humanity. We breathe into our beingness. We breathe into the grace that is latent in the gaps of our lives, and we call upon you, sweet Spirit, to reveal that grace in ways that we can clearly see it, feel it, and know it. And most of all, we willingly see and feel and hold that grace for ourselves and for each other. We offer our deepest thanks for the abundance of everything good that is right here awaiting us. We affirm and know that in you we live and move and have our being. And in you we awaken to the truth of our oneness that is ever present. We are so grateful to be here in our spiritual community as Unity Church of the Hills and as human beings shining our lights and service to the world. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
This week's Sharing is Caring benefits Foster Village. For every share of the message while we are live, we'll donate $5 to this wonderful organization. Please take a moment and share today's message. We are now scheduling small groups of up to 10 people to meet outdoors on campus. Contact Audrey Simpson at audrey.simpson@unityhills.org to learn about the safety protocols involved and to reserve a spot. If you haven't already made concrete plans to paint rocks for the community garden, don't quarry, there's still time. Rock painting continues through the month of September. Come and enjoy the cooler temps out on our patio while you let your creativity run wild. All materials are provided, and rock painters enjoy a 10% discount at our bookstore. In October, you'll have an opportunity to Rockford, whose life got off to a rocky start when he ended up in a heap. However, he's been reimagined into something beautiful and is eager for his October adoption on a love offering basis. Dr. Dan Stasiak has returned to his offering, Learn to Meditate class the second Tuesday of every month via Zoom. If you're wanting to strengthen or even develop your meditation skills, Dr. Dan goes through the steps of superconscious meditation from the Institute of the Himalayan tradition. The class is offered on a love offering basis this Tuesday, September 15th, from 7 to 8 p.m. Register in advance for the Zoom link. Can you believe that we are 2 months away from turning 25 as a spiritual community? When I turned 25, a very, very long time ago, I was asking big questions about where I was going, what I wanted to do, and who I wanted to be. Well, as a spiritual community, we're asking those same questions. And more importantly, we are listening so that we can hear and then answer the call from Spirit. And this idea of answering the call really kicked off with our World Day of Prayer. And it continues later today at 2 p.m. with Dr. Roger Teal. He'll take us through a powerful process he calls Bridges to Breakthrough. Offered on a love offering basis, Dr. Rogers' webinar is the perfect opportunity for our community to intentionally reflect, heal, and prepare for our way forward as a spiritual community. Please register at unityhills.org before 2 p.m. today to receive the Zoom link. We answer the call of Spirit by consciously creating community and belonging through activities such as our Spirit Circles. Our fall series begins later this week, and there are still groups available to join. And finally, we are asking you to answer the call to help us plan the 25th anniversary celebrations. Despite this pandemic, we are going to celebrate. And although it may not be in the same way we've celebrated in the past, we will make it special. And we are looking for people who will run with an agreed upon idea to work with a team and make it happen. And if that's you, please email Ellen Fannin at fannonellen@gmail.com. She'll be setting up the initial planning meeting in the coming days. Now, for today's meditation, we are going to focus our hearts and our collective prayer intention on the West Coast, where fires are raging, surrounding our brothers and sisters there in our love and our light. So I invite you to close your eyes as we take a sacred journey from our heads to our hearts, breathing in, letting go. Once again, breathing in and sighing it out. Allow your sense of connection with all of life. We invite into this field with us all those of a higher dimension of being, our ascended masters, our angels and teachers, our guides, and our own Christ presence, that level of our being where we have embodied our divine potential. Allow this vibration to be palpable and present with you, with us, as we collectively focus our hearts on the West Coast with a powerful intention of relief. You might imagine angels flying over the fires, arms outstretched, radiating a healing balm. Or Jesus walking through the flames, whispering, "Peace, be still." The vibration of his consciousness ripples out like calming water, and the fires dissolve where he walks. Or you may simply rest in your own loving heart, sending ripples of white light to all of those affected, shoring up the firefighters, comforting the afflicted, the weary, the grieving. The Holy Spirit, as a divine nurturing presence, wraps this situation in infinite, unconditional, harmonizing love. Continue to fortify this field of wholeness as you rest as love in the silence. With God, all things are possible. So we release this affirmative intention into the law of love, through God, for fulfillment, knowing it is done, and so it is. Amen. When you are ready, open your beautiful eyes.
Yeah, we got a good thing, people. Whenever life is hard, we'll never lose our way, 'cause we all know who we are. Who knows about tomorrow? We don't know what's in the stars. We just know that we can follow the light that's in our hearts. But I'm not worried about us, and I've never been. We know how the story ends. We will never break. We will never break. Build on a foundation strong enough to stay. We will never break. As the water rises and the mountains shake, our love will remain. We will never, no, no, never. We will never, no, no, never. It's more than a good sensation. It's more than a passing thing. God is the explanation of what love really means. It's bigger than you and me. It's 1 + 1 = 3. When we talk about forever, then forever's what we mean. So I'm not worried about us, and I've never been. No matter what might come our way, we will never break. We will never break. Build on a foundation stronger than the pain. We will never break. As the water rises and the mountains shake, God's love will remain. We will never, no, never. We will never, no, never. We will never, no, never. We will know. The world seems dangerous. Throw it all at us. There's nothing we cannot take. We will never break. We will never break. Build on a foundation strong enough to stay. We will never break. As the water rises and the mountains shake, God's love will remain. We will never, no, never. We will never, no, never. We will never, no, never. We will, no.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tom. So beautiful. So just the other day, I was driving in the car with my 4-year-old when he asked me, Lala, when will we die? I'm sitting there driving down the road thinking about how I'm going to get him moved into Paw Patrol and transitioned before my 5 o'clock Board of Trustees meeting. I wasn't really thinking about existential questions of life and death. But 4-year-olds, I've learned, don't really understand timing, nor do they really care. So he's looking out the window, and I'm driving along, and all of a sudden, it just like, how am I going to answer this? And it comes to me that, and I said, Silas, death and life are part of the great mystery, and we don't know when we're born and when we'll die. And that seemed to satisfy him for a little while. But it made me think later about this idea of the great mysteries. And I believe that grace is one of those mysteries as well. And I ask you today to really consider that idea of grace, of it being a currency in your life. And what does it mean to you? What does grace feel like for you? When do you call upon grace in your own life? And how do you know when you're needing to lean into those gaps in your own life to fill that space with grace? I know for me, one of the biggest places that I can get stuck is that gap between my heart and my head, between fear and love, and of course, between this wrestle that we're all in of being human and being divine. And I've realized for me over my life that I can get thrown out of balance when I forget. When I forget that in my humanity, if I get stuck there, I can get thrown out of balance and forget my compassion and my connection. And if I get stuck in my beingness and just want to sit in my meditation space in my lily pad all day, that I can forget my purpose is to have a human experience. And when I can get thrown out of balance in my human beingness, I can get buckled down in fear, in smallness, and in pettiness, and in judgment and comparison. But what if we could lean into those gaps and not fill them? What if we allow God to fill those spaces? Because the miracle I've learned is sometimes most profound in our brokenness, in our no-thingness. Because just like it's the music, the notes that fill the space to make the melody, when we allow God into those gaps in our own lives to fill those with grace, we allow God to do God's most perfect work. Several months ago, the Board of Trustees had our retreat, our annual retreat in January. And at that retreat, we were led by Shannon Prusher in doing this activity called kintsugi. And if you're familiar with kintsugi, it's the art of creating something beautiful out of something broken. And at that time in our spiritual community, we were coming out of last fall, we were wrestling with some big questions and uncertainties, each of us individually and collectively as a spiritual community. And little did we know when we met in January what we were about to face with the pandemic. So as we sat there around the table that day, we took this chalice and we each took turns. Shannon had epoxied the cracks back together. This is a chalice that I believe originated from a staff member, and we blessed it, and she blessed it, and she glued it back together. And then we each took turns using a golden paint to paint the cracks and crevices of this chalice. And we blessed the chalice that day, and we blessed it for it symbolized that essence, right, of being broken and feeling disconnected and coming back together to create the whole in a whole new way, and allowing that grace, that glitter, that gold, that God stuff to fill those gaps. Similarly, when I was a child, I sat around a table during 2 years of confirmation classes. You see, I grew up in the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, ELCA, which is often known as the Liberal Lutherans. And we would sit around the table every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. in these confirmation classes. And there's not a lot I remembered about that time in my life. I was a teenager. I really was concerned mostly with playing Nerf football with my friends on the church lawn. I was really concerned with who was going to get to the Little Debbie snack cakes first. And of course, did I have enough change for the Coke machine, which was those great bottles that you would pull out. You know, you'd put your coins in and you'd open the glass and pull out the glass bottle. And I had so many memories of that. And in all those years, much to the dismay of my pastor, there's only one real spiritual lesson that I remember from those times together. And it was the day Pastor Joe talked to us about grace. And something about that lesson resonated so deeply for me because it was about this idea of this guy named Martin Luther who left the Catholic Church largely for fundamental differences, but one of those core differences being that Martin Luther believed that grace was bestowed upon us. It didn't require anything of us. It wasn't a prerequisite to being alive, that God's love was so big and so infinite that it could fill the gaps in our own lives. And so I've come to realize that for me over the years, that is a key and fundamental place that we're called into. And really, I think it's the core definition of grace. If you look up the word grace in Merriam-Webster online, you'll find lots of definitions. But the one that strikes me is this one, around this idea of sanctification and purification. I tend to think of grace as an umbilical cord to the divine. This idea that we can be connected at all times to the divine if we allow ourselves to lean into that space.